Stunning indications from the administration about threats to Obamacare that could jeopardize the entire health insurance business. Plus, another big company decides to stop providing part-time workers insurance and send them to the exchanges. Is it a look into the future? This is Special Report. Good evening, I'm Brett Baer. We have new information tonight on problems so serious they could not only endanger the president's health care plan, but also the entire health insurance industry. It comes, as a new poll indicates, a 59% disapproval of how the president is handling health care. Tonight, Chief National Correspondent Jim Engel with news the president's people did not want you to hear.
The Obama administration, while publicly expressing boundless confidence in the health care law, privately fears one part of the system is so flawed that it could bankrupt insurance companies and cripple Obamacare itself.
Week after week, month after month, the Obama administration kept telling us everything is working fine, there's no problem, and then they turn on a dime and fire their contractor.
To justify a no-bid contract with Accenture after firing CGI as the lead contractor, the administration released documents that offered a rare glimpse of its worst fears, saying problems with the website puts, quote, the entire health insurance industry at risk, potentially leading to their default and disrupting continued services and coverage to consumers. Then it went even further, saying if the problems are not fixed by mid-March, they, quote, will result in financial harm to the government, and even said without the fixes, the entire health care reform program is jeopardized. In spite of the urgent need officials cited to keep the system from collapsing, the White House spokesman says he knows nothing about it.
I didn't see the article. I'm not aware of those statements.
The dangers were known in early December, but later, shortly before CGI was fired, Secretary Kathleen Sebelius gave Fox an upbeat account.
I'm thrilled that we're going to have millions of people for the first time that have health security, and it should be a great new year for lots of families across America.
Shortly after the website went live, one official told Congress a critical part of the system hadn't even been built yet, what is known as the back end.
The back end, that information is supposed to be transmitted to an insurance company. The insurance company knows who you are, they know what policy you picked.
And the back end still hasn't been built, so insurers are dealing with massive confusion, missing information on who signed up and what subsidies they get. But Secretary Sebelius insisted once again today it'll all come together.
But there are only 300 insurers in the whole country, and they have signed off on, we will get them paid. There's no question about that, so, but we're on track to get that built.
For now, though, officials concede they're relying on estimates.
Here's who we think we have, and here's the subsidy we think they're owed. Please send us a check from the Treasury. The honor system again.
There's no way to effectively match policies and people.
Now, the administration emphasizes fixing the site by mid-March is urgent. Otherwise, the system could descend into chaos. One other development to note, Brett, Target Corporation now says it'll stop offering insurance to part-time workers, joining Home Depot, Trader Joe's, and Walgreens, among others, who did the same thing, sending those workers to the exchanges. Brett?
Could be more to come. More on this with the panel. Jim, thank you. Our other big political story tonight is the annual March for Life here in Washington. It coincides with the anniversary of the landmark Supreme Court decision on abortion, a decision that still sparks fierce debate. And as correspondent Molly Hannenberg reports, also inspires considerable devotion and sacrifice.
They withstood freezing cold temperatures and bitter wind for the 41st March for Life from the National Mall to the Supreme Court.
We are a pro-life generation, and we're standing up for the unborn.
I hope that it just helps everybody to realize that we're not alone in this.
The National Republican Party changed its winter meeting schedule to allow lawmakers to attend the march.
The truth is, there is an inalienable right to life, and this right extends to the unborn. This is not a political truth subject to the whims of man. It is a moral truth.
Our society and our leaders must stop upholding abortion and start encouraging adoption.
President Obama, however, put out a statement today reaffirming the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision, saying, quote, "Every woman should be able to make her own choices about her body and her health." This is the first March for Life since the trial of Philadelphia abortion doctor Kermit Gosnell, who was convicted of murdering babies born alive during botched abortions. And a new Fox poll shows by a slim 3-point margin, more voters now consider themselves pro-life, 48%, than pro-choice, 45%. A reversal from a poll taken in April during the Gosnell trial and another one taken just before the 2012 election. 22 states enacted new restrictions on abortion in 2013, including in some states a requirement that abortion doctors be certified to admit patients to a nearby hospital in the event of an emergency. But pro-choice advocates say the new laws are not improving care.
In fact, make it very, very difficult for poor people and for women who live in rural areas to even access compassionate abortion care, having to drive many times out of state or hundreds and hundreds of miles to take several days off from work.
Marchers out here earlier today also got some support from the Vatican. Pope Francis tweeted that he was joining the March for Life with his prayers. He also says he hopes the event would encourage people to, quote, respect all life, especially the most vulnerable. Brett?
Molly Henneberg live on a frozen National Mall. Molly, thank you. Let's talk more about abortion politics tonight. Senior political analyst Britt Hume is here. Good evening, Britt.
Hello, Brett. This is the 41st anniversary of the day the Supreme Court found that a generalized right to privacy it had basically invented meant that a woman has a constitutional right to snuff out an unborn life, a human being with a beating heart. That's what a fetus as young as 6 weeks is. Small wonder these protesters still come every year to register their continuing objections. Some estimates are that as many as 55 million abortions, 55 million, have occurred since the court acted. In that time, science has given us an ever clearer picture of just how much of a baby a fetus is. At 20 weeks, we now know these tiny creatures can hear, even recognize a mother's voice. Their toenails are growing and their hearts beat loud enough to be heard by a stethoscope. The moral case for allowing such beings to be killed grows ever weaker, and its advocates resort to ever more absurd euphemisms to describe what they support. They're not really pro-abortion, they've long said. They're pro-choice. This isn't about killing unborn babies. It's about reproductive health. And the biggest chain of abortion clinics in the country refers to itself as Planned Parenthood. In 2012, this organization says it carried out, quote, abortion procedures 329,445 times. Whatever that number represents, it's not parenthood. These protesters here today understand that there is something deeply false and wrong about all this. They come each year to remind the rest of us. Brett?
Where do you think this goes from here, politically or otherwise?
Well, you saw what the Gosnell case did to the support for abortion rights versus life. Abortion rate is down generally in this country. If science is able to determine that a fetus at a certain age, a certain stage, feels pain, or feels pain from nearly at the beginning, that would change everything. I think the support for abortion and abortion rights and for its legality would crumble. And I think that the political atmosphere around this issue would change almost overnight. So that's the place to look, to see what science tells us next.
More on this with the panel as well. Britt, thank you.
You bet.
Another mixed day on Wall Street today. The Dow lost 41. The S&P 500 gained 1. The Nasdaq was up 17. Up next, Israel foils what it calls an advanced al-Qaeda plot to attack an American embassy. But first, here's what some of our Fox affiliates across the country are covering tonight. Fox 13 in Memphis with an explosion and fire at a biodiesel plant in New Albany, Mississippi. And look at this blast. The State Highway Patrol says the flames are so intense there, firefighters have not been able to get close to that blaze. Fox 5 in Atlanta with a suburban father saving his daughter from sledding into a car in the Tennessee mountains. Look at that, just in time. And this is a live look at Boston from Fox 25. The big story there tonight, the cleanup from yesterday's winter storm. The city received 4 to 8 inches, but further out, there was as much as 1.5 feet of snow. They're used to it, though. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from the Special Report. We'll be right back.